Start, Jami. Hi, good evening, friends. Today, one of the most important sessions we are going to cover is on inventory management, which is one of the most key component of the balance sheet under the heading current assets. So, under the current assets, you will find the inventory is represented, or it is the figure is shown under the current assets in the assets column of the balance sheet. So what do we mean by inventory? When we talk about inventory, what does it talk about? Inventory is the stock of any item or resource used in the organization. You are producing any product. For producing any product, you need raw materials. So whatever the raw material you need, one which is lying in the store, is represented as inventory. So the raw material is represented as inventory in the manufacturing organization. Similarly, when the goods are produced and is ready for sale to the consumer, that is also represented as inventory of finished goods or merchandise. So there are various types of inventory in the organization. So inventory is the stock of any item or resource used in the organization. It may be in the form of raw material, it may be in the form of semi-finished products, it may be in the form of goods in transit, it may be in the form of finished stocks. So whatever may be in the form, the stock which is lying on the floor is represented as inventory, is also known as stock or inventory. The dictionary meaning of the inventory is the stock of goods or list of goods. In accounting language, inventory means stock of finished goods. In manufacturing point of view, inventory includes raw material, work in process, stores, etc. We'll come to this part in the later part of the slide. So inventory system is a set of policies and controls that monitor level of inventory and determine what level should be maintained, when stock should be replenished, and how large orders should be. When we talk about inventory, managing inventory is one of the most critical function of the management. So you should stock a level of inventory at a point where it should not result in overstocking, nor it should result in stock out. It should be at an appropriate level where you can manage your inventory at the best. So what to inventory means? These are the classes of inventory which has been typical form of inventory position are there in any organization, like raw material, goods which have not become committed to production in the manufacturing business concern. The raw material which you have procured for producing the goods lying on the floor, it is yet to be issued to the production line for producing final product. So the amount of inventory which is lying on the floor is known as inventory of raw material. Then there is a work in progress. Work in progress is materials which have been committed to production process but have not been completed. Means the part of the raw material has already been issued to the production line and it is lying on the shop floor, production shop floor, to be consumed for producing the final product. So the raw material has been issued from the shop floor to the production line, which is to be used for production process, is known as work in process. Similarly, we have finished goods inventory or merchandise means final output of the production process of the business concern. It is ready for sale to the consumer. Once the goods has been produced and ready for sale to the consumers, so the raw material which has been converted into a finished goods for ultimately sale to the consumers is known as the finished goods inventory. Then we have a consumables, materials which are needed to smooth running of the manufacturing process. Consumables are those items which you can call it as a spare parts, or like nuts, bolts, V-belts, which are normal consumables which are part of used in the machinery. So those inventories also we are keeping in the store to ensure smooth production processes. If the nuts, bolts are not there, the small consumables are not there, which are essential part of the machinery, as in inventory, your production can stop anytime. So these consumables we need to keep inventory at a certain level so that anything happens to the production line, if they need some nuts, bolts, spares or miscellaneous items for smooth production process, they have to keep some inventory of consumables in the stores. Then spares is also part of the inventory which included the small spares and parts. It is similar to the consumables. Some critical spares the management keeps so that the production runs smoothly without any interruption. If we do not have spares in the plant, inventory of spares in the plant, the company may lose the production and ultimately may lose the sale also. So basic purpose of inventory analysis, the basic purpose of inventory analysis, whether in a manufacturing, distribution, retail or service, whatever may be the sector or what may be the area of business, the basic purpose of inventory is when items should be ordered, at what particular time we are going to order for the inventory into the business, and how large the order should be, how much we should order the business. That is the most important area of the inventory. So how the large order should be. So these are the two most critical aspects of the inventory. Many firms are tending to enter into long-term relationship with the vendors to supply their needs for perhaps the entire year. What happens? Instead of ordering frequently the raw materials or inventory or consumables or whatever the item the company needs for their day-to-day operations, they enter into contract, which we call typically an annual rate contract with the supplier, so that they supply us regularly these items at a periodic interval, so that the company need not maintain inventory of a huge quantity by procuring at a large quantity in the shop floor. So as and when they require, they place an order to the supplier, and the supplier keeps on supplying the requirement as per the schedule given by us. So nowadays this changes when and how many order to when and how many to deliver. So the company is raised an indent. The company enters into annual rate contract with the supplier. With that annual rate contract, the rate has been fixed with the supplier, at what rate he is going to supply the material, and we give us the indent or a delivery schedule. So once the delivery schedule is given, as per our required quantity, the vendor will arrange the delivery of material to our premises. Two main purposes of inventory management are: first, concern level of customer service, to have the right goods in sufficient quantity in the right place and the right times. The whole aspect of inventory management is to ensure that you should not lose a customer sale. That's the most important part of the business. So in order to keep that objective, the most focused objective of any organization is to see that the goods should be made available to the customers. So if the goods, if we want the goods to be delivered at a customer at the right time, we have to procure the raw material at an appropriate time, at an appropriate place and at an appropriate price, so that we should achieve the objective of the organization. What is the objective? To ensure that goods are delivered to the customer at the right time and at the right quantity and the right price. Secondly, the cost of ordering and carrying the inventory. This part we are going to take up in the later part of the slide. It's the most important aspects of the inventory is the cost of ordering and carrying inventories. So objectives of the inventory management. Inventory occupies 30 to 80% of the total current assets of the business concern. You take the total cost of the operations or total cost of the expenses. Of the total cost, almost 30 to 80% of the total expenses the company is incurring pertains to the inventory. So it is also essential part not only in the field of financial management but also is closely associated with production management. You have to arrange the finance for procuring the raw material. At the same time, you have to meet the commitment of the production. You have to balance out these two requirements. You need a fund, you need a working capital to procure the raw material. At the same time, you have to meet the commitment of the production department, because you have to produce the final goods. The production department needs the inventory for the production. So you have to balance out in such a way so that inventory is kept at an optimum level to satisfy both from the finance management and both from the production management. Hence, in any working capital decision regarding the inventories, it will affect both financial and production function of the concern. Hence, efficient management of inventory is an essential part of any kind of manufacturing process concern. The whole aspect of the inventory management is how to manage the inventory at an optimum level, so that you should not end up either having overstocking of inventory, which will result in blocking of working capital, or understocking of inventory. Because if the stockouts happen, your production will stop. Ultimately, you will not be able to produce the final product which are meant for sale to the final customers. So you have to optimize the level of inventory. In such a case, you are balancing both the finance part and also the production part. The objectives of the inventory management is to efficient and smooth production process. You have to keep inventory level at such a level so that your production process should not interrupt. You should not stop because of want of inventory. So you have to keep the inventory sufficient balance so that the production process cannot be interrupted. To maintain optimum inventory to maximize the profitability. If you are able to maximize in order to maximize the profitability of the concern, you have to maintain optimum level of inventory. Because if inventory is there in your stock, you will able to meet the customer demand existing outside the company. So you should able to meet the timely demand of the customer. If the customer wants the goods, if the goods are not available, or if the goods are not produced because of want of inventory, you will incur a loss. So you have to optimize the level of inventory to such an extent you are not missing out on the demand raised by the customer for want of goods. To meet the seasonal demand of the product, you have to manage your inventory in such a way so that you know the market position of your product, at what time your products are demanded. So you have to keep that cycle in such a way so that at a particular time when the demand of the product is very high, you are keeping a maximum inventory. At the same time, when the demand of the product is low, you have kept the inventory at a minimum level. So that calculation or that analysis have to be carried out in detail. At what period of time you have to keep the inventory at the maximum level, and what period of time you have to keep the inventory at a minimum level. To avoid price increase in future, you have to stock the inventory in such a way so that you should not end up in procuring the inventory at emergency purchase at a very higher price. So that you should stock in such a way you are achieving the economies of scale. You have procured the quantity in a bulk quantity and achieved the good discount out of it. But at the same time, if you are running short of stock, if the inventories are not available in the market, you end up in procuring more items at a higher price. To ensure the level and size of inventory is required. Yes, you have to maintain a particular level of inventory. Either it should be a maximum level or a minimum level or a reorder level that we are going to discuss in detail, or what level you should keep the inventory so that you are balancing out between the ordering cost and the carrying cost, which we are going to take up in the subsequent slide. To plan when to purchase and where to purchase, this is what it talks about, the level, at what level of inventory you are going to keep, when to purchase. Considering the seasonality factor of your product, you should be able to know at what level you are going to procure the material and how much stock you are going to keep as an inventory to avoid both overstocking and understock of the inventory. Inadequate control over inventories. What happens? Inadequate control of inventories can result into two categories. Understocking results in missed deliveries. That means you are losing the sales, lost sales, dissatisfied customers, and production bottlenecks. If you are not keeping sufficient inventory at hand, it will affect the production. If the production is affected, you may not be able to meet the demand in the market. As a result, you may lose the customer confidence. Overstocking unnecessarily ties up the fund that might be more productive. You have taken a working capital loan from the bank to finance your inventory, to procure the raw material. If you have procured the raw material from the borrowed fund, a huge quantity, then what will happen? The whole working capital is getting blocked in the inventory because you are not able to produce the final product out of this excess inventory because of various factors like less demand in the market. If you have procured a huge quantity of raw material and it is lying in the godown for no use, then your fund has been blocked in the inventory by way of working capital. So it is lying idle. Inventory cost. So there are basically three categories of cost associated with the inventory. One is carrying cost. Carrying cost is the cost to carry an item in inventory for a length of time, usually a year. Costs include interest, insurance, tax, depreciation, obsolescence, deterioration, spoilage, pilferage, breakage, etc. See, you have procured the inventory at a borrowed fund. Okay, you have used, or either you have used your own capital to procure that inventory. So your fund is getting blocked. If you have purchased the inventory from the borrowed fund, you are paying interest to the bank. So you are incurring a carrying cost of inventory. By holding the inventory, you are incurring some cost. That's why it is called holding cost. Holding cost are interest, insurance, because you have to take the insurance of the raw material lying in the store. Because something if happens to the raw material, you may incur a huge loss. So you have to take insurance of that inventory. So it is a carrying cost. You are paying the premium to the insurance company for carrying that inventory. Then you are paying taxes, you are depreciation, obsolescence, deterioration. These are the costs associated with holding the inventory. If you are holding the inventory for a long time, it may deteriorate. So it is costing you. So that's why it is called holding cost. Then spoilage, pilferage, breakage, all this can happen if you are storing the inventory in the godown. So these are the costs associated with carrying the inventory or holding the inventory. Then the ordering cost. Ordering cost is the cost of ordering and receiving the inventory. These include determining how much is needed, preparing invoices, inspecting goods on arrival for quality and quantity, and moving the goods to the temporary storage. It includes you are engaging a number of people for preparing the invoices. Okay, for transporting from one godown to another. Okay, then you are incurring the inspecting the goods. You are appointed a quality control personnel who will inspect the quality of the raw material at a particular interval. So you are incurring a cost. That's why it is called related to ordering cost. So ordering cost involves preparing the invoice. Lot of documentation are involved because it involves generation of invoices, inspection of goods upon arrival of quality and quantity, and moving the goods to temporary storage. So all this related to ordering cost. Then there are shortage costs. Shortage costs are those costs when you are not able to meet the demand of the market and your demand exceeds the supply. That's why it is known as shortage cost. Shortage cost is the cost resulting when demand exceeds the supply of inventory on hand. These costs can include the opportunity cost of not making a sale. Because you have run out of inventory, you are not able to produce the goods required by the market. So the demand has exceeded the supply. So that's why it is a shortage cost. The loss which you have incurred for not selling the goods at a particular time is a shortage cost. The techniques of inventory management. So inventory management consists of effective control and administration of inventory. So how you manage the inventory is covered under the inventory management. So there are various tools and techniques are available. So how you can manage the inventory in a particular manufacturing unit. So inventory control refers to a system which ensures supply of required quantity and quality of inventory at the required time, and at the same time prevent unnecessary investment in the inventories. So you have to manage, you have to optimize the inventory in such a way it should not result in understocking, it should not result in overstocking. So it goes to system which ensures supply of required quantity and quality of inventory at the required time. Whatever the quantity is required is managed and controlled by the inventory manager. There are inventory manager in the organization who manages the inventory level across the company. It needs important techniques. So what are those techniques? Let us go about. So basically there are three techniques of inventory management. So first technique is based on order quantity, second technique is based on classification, and third technique is based on the records. So what are those techniques? So first techniques when we talk about is the stock level determination under the order quantity. Then is the determination of stock. Then it comes economic order quantity. Based on classification, we call ABC analysis, weight analysis, HML analysis, aging analysis. And techniques based on records, we have inventory report and budget report. Let us go through in detail these techniques. Stock level determination. Fixation of inventory level facilitates easy maintenance and control of various materials in a proper way. However, the following points should be remembered. Only fixation of inventory level does not facilitate inventory control. A constant watch on the actual stock level of material should be kept so that the proper action can be taken on time. Here, the inventory manager, what he does, he takes out the various reports from the inventory management system and reviews and constantly reviews the position of stock level so that it should not result in understocking or overstocking. So, only fixation of inventory levels is not enough. That means you have fixed up a particular level of inventory. That does not mean that you are not going to monitor the inventory level. Continuously you need to monitor the stock so that you should not end up in stock out situation. You should not end up in having a production loss. The level which are fixed are not for permanent basis and are subject to regular revision. Why it is regular revision? It depends upon the demand of the product in the market. If the demand of the product rises, all of a sudden you need to increase the inventory level. Vice versa, if the demand is not there, you have to reduce the inventory level. That's why it is called regular revision. So who is going to do this regular revisions? There are the inventory managers appointed by the company whose only job is to see that inventories are kept at optimum level, and we should not incur any loss on account of stock outs and fails to meet the consumer demand. Therefore, the business concern must maintain optimum level of stock to smooth running of the business process. So the business manager, the inventory manager must maintain optimum level of inventory. So minimum level. Now under the stock level, we are going to discuss various levels of inventory. So minimum level is the bare minimum level a company should keep inventory so that it should not end up in storing a huge quantity. The business concern must maintain minimum level of stock at all times. If the stocks are less than the minimum level, then the work will stop due to shortage of material. It requires a continuous monitoring by the inventory manager. Some company keeps the stock at a minimum level because they know what is the product profile in the market, what is the demand in the market. So they ensure that stock are kept at a minimum level. Your raw material inventory should kept at a minimum level so that they should able to sustain the production program or production plan of the company. This level is fixed after considering two factors: rate of consumption and the time. Rate of consumption, how frequently you need the raw material, and the lead time. Lead time means the time takes to raw material from supplier to your manufacturing process. If the supplier is 50 kilometers away from the manufacturing process, the lead time will be higher because the time take to deliver from supplier to your godown will take huge amount of time. So the company tries to keep the stock at a higher level if the distance of lead time is high. Similarly, if the supplier is just your next door, he's just a hardly few meters or 1 kilometer away, the lead time will be short. It will be in few hours. So the company tries to maintain a minimum level because they know at any point of time they will get the material from the supplier. So the minimum level is decided by rate of consumption and the lead time. So formula is reorder level. We will come to know what is reorder level minus normal consumption into normal delivery period. This is the formula used for calculating the minimum level. Now maximum level. This is the top level which indicates the level of material stock should not exceed this level. If it does, it may involve blocking of fund in the inventory, which may use for some other useful purpose. So sometimes the management believes that they have to keep the stock at a maximum level. There's some thought the company, some model company adopts is to keep the stock level at a maximum level. Earlier we have seen some strategy the company adopts is to keep the inventory at a minimum level. But there are some companies who keep the stock at the maximum level. So what are the factors which the company considers to keep the maximum level? Is maximum usage. If the items are on a fast running, every now and then, every hour you need the raw material. In the continuous production process, the company needs to keep a stock at a very high level because they cannot afford to lose the stock out on account of inventory shortage. They cannot afford to lose the production on account of stock out of inventory. So the maximum usage of raw material will decide the maximum level. Then there are lead time, as I told you, the distance between supplier and the manufacturing unit. It depends upon how frequently we'll get the material from the supplier is one factor which decides the plan. Then storage facility available. How big is the storage? Whether the storage facility for the inventory is small or big, that also determines how much stock we should keep in the plant. Prices of material. Yes, if the prices are high, they want to keep the stock at a minimum level. If the prices are low, they want to keep at a maximum level. They just monitor the rate, how best rate they can take the material at a competitive price. Other various costs involved like insurance, storage costs, etc. Availability of funds for procurement of materials. If the funds are not available, then you may end up in having a stock at a very optimum level, not at a maximum level because you are not having funds. Nature of material, whether they are perishable item, if it is a perishable or durable, that also will decide whether the maximum level what we are going to keep. And the economic order quantity. This is again we are going to touch up in the next slide. The EOQ model, like minimum level we are having, maximum level we are having. There is another level called EOQ model, which we are going to take up in detail. This EOQ model. Formula is reorder level plus reorder quantity minus minimum consumption into minimum delivery period. So this is the formula we use for working out a maximum level. So what is reorder level? So reorder level is in between minimum and maximum. This level is fixed between maximum and minimum level in such a way that the requirement of materials for the production can be met properly till the fresh supply of material is received. So it works on a replenishment model. If a particular level has been exhausted, immediately they will place an order for the material. It is called a reorder level. It is using as a point. They have some stock level between maximum level and in minimum level. So one threshold limit they have decided in between these two levels. That is called reorder level. The moment it touches that particular reorder level, they will not wait for the maximum level to exhaust all the material. No. The moment a particular level in between minimum and maximum level it reaches the inventory, they will order the material. That's why it is called reorder level. This level of material stock indicates that a step should be taken for procurement of further lots of material. So it depends on further lot you are ordering. We are not waiting for the maximum level to complete. No. Reorder level is the moment the stock level achieves above a minimum level, they will order the material. So they keep on replenishing the material as and when it reaches that reorder level, so that you are never ending at a point of stock out, nor at a point you are exceeding a maximum level. No. So formula is maximum consumption into maximum reorder period is called a reorder point. Now there are another level called danger level. So we have seen minimum level, we have seen maximum level, we have seen reorder level. Now this danger level. Danger level is when your stock falls below the minimum level, and it is a very dangerous situation where you end up in having a stock out situation which may hamper the production process. This level is fixed below the minimum level. So if the stock reaches this level, an immediate action must be taken by the company in respect of getting the supply. This is the most danger level the company is keeping, so that at a very bare minimum, below the minimum level, the company is managing their production. So the biggest risk the companies run at this level, because if all of a sudden the demand of your product rises, you may not able to meet the demand in the market. So you may lose the production. Ultimately, you will lose the sale. This level indicates a panic situation for the company, as it has to make purchase in a rush, which may involve higher cost. Sometime at a danger level, the company, because of all of a sudden the demand increases, what happens? You may lose on account of meeting the demand because you don't have inventory. The inventory has reached a danger level. So it indicates a panic situation for the company, as it has to make purchase in a rush, which may involve higher cost. So formula is danger level is normal consumption into maximum reorder period for the emergency purchase. Then there is a one concept called average stock level. It is just the average of maximum level and the minimum level divided by 2. This is the average level. So these are the 5 levels of inventories which we consider as a stock level which companies are adopting: maximum level, minimum level, average stock level, danger level, and reorder level. So these are the 5 levels of inventory under. These are a technique which the company uses for maintaining the stock level. So let us understand the difference between lead time and the safety stock. These are the typical words which are used in the inventory management. Lead time, as I have already told you, lead time is a time normally taken in receiving delivery after placing orders with suppliers. The time taken in processing the order and then executing it is known as the lead time. So it is the time between the supplier and the supply point at your premises. How much time it takes, the lead time. Suppose we talk about lead time of 5 days. That means lead time of 5 days means it will take 5 days to reach the raw material in my premises from the supplier's place. Safety stock. Safety stock, also called a buffer stock, is a term used to describe a level of extra stock that is maintained to mitigate risk of stock outs. Shortfall in raw material packaging due to uncertainties in the supply and demand. Adequate safety stock level permits business operations to proceed according to the plan. So sometimes the company keeps a level of safety stock. Safety stock is on a safer side. The company ensures that whatever, suppose if in future, if there is shortage of supply of raw material or all of a sudden the price rises, the company keeps a sufficient level of stock so that tomorrow if something goes in the market, they are may not able to get the raw material. Something goes wrong in the market for that raw material, the company will able to sustain the production and it will be able to meet the demand. So that's why it is known as safety stock or buffer stock. Safety stock is held when there is an uncertainty in demand, supply or manufacturing yield. It serves as an insurance against the stockhold. It is called an insurance against the stockhold because you will able to sustain the production. You will able to sustain the market demand because sometimes it happens in the market you don't get a raw material. The company keeps a particular level of inventory as a safety stock to ensure, as an insurance, to ensure the company should not run out of stock position. Now this is the most critical part of the inventory management we call is economic order quantity. The economic order quantity is one of the tools and techniques used by the inventory management for optimizing their inventory at a minimum cost. So the whole objective of managing this inventory is covered in this EOQ. A lot of companies are adopting this model. It is considered as one of the best model of managing the inventory, that is EOQ. They call it economic order quantity. So economic order quantity is the order quantity of inventory that minimizes the total cost of inventory management. So when we talk about total cost of inventory management means what we have studied, there are three costs. There are carrying cost, there are ordering cost, and there are shortage cost. What was the carrying cost of inventory? The carrying cost is cost of holding the inventory in your godown. Ordering cost is you are appointing personnel, you are incurring some inspection cost, you are incurring some documentation cost like preparation of invoice and all. So all these are ordering costs. So these two costs are the key costs associated while procuring the inventory. So what does this EOQ do? EOQ model ensure that at an optimum level where your ordering cost and the carrying cost are equal, at that particular point this economic order quantity is decided. So ordering cost and carrying cost are quite opposite to each other. If we need to minimize carrying cost, just read this very carefully. If we need to minimize carrying cost, we have to place small orders which increases the ordering cost. If you want to reduce the carrying cost, because you are incurring a cost of carrying the inventory, if you are incurring a low cost of carrying the inventory, you have to order on a very high scale because the frequency of ordering you have to increase because your objective is to reduce the carrying cost. But the problem of reducing the carrying cost means you are increasing the ordering cost. Because you want to bring down carrying cost at a low level, you are ordering your material. So in order to keep the inventory cost at a low level, your ordering cost is increasing because you are frequently ordering the raw material in order to reduce the carrying cost. But if you see the reverse case, if we want to minimize the ordering cost, we have to place few orders in a year and this requires placing large orders. But if you want to reduce your ordering cost, means you want to keep the ordering cost at a low level, then what will happen? You have to increase your carrying cost. That is another problem. So it requires placing large order which in turn increases the total carrying cost for the period. So whatever the situation you want to take, if you are in problem, if you reduce in carrying cost, you will incur higher ordering cost. If you want to lower ordering cost, you have to increase the carrying cost. So it is a very difficult predicament. So in order to balance out both the ordering cost and the carrying cost, this EOQ model is being followed. Economic order quantity refers to the level of inventory at which the total cost of inventory comprising ordering cost and carrying cost. So carrying cost and ordering cost you have to optimize to achieve this economic order quantity. Determining an optimum level involves two types of costs such as ordering cost and carrying cost. The EOQ is that inventory level that minimizes the total of ordering or carrying cost. So it is worked on this formula. Formula of EOQ is square root of 2AB divided by C, whereas A is the annual usage of inventory. Suppose you are using 10,000 quantity units of inventory in a year, particular raw material. So multiplied by A, annual usage, the 10,000. B is the buying cost per order. How much cost you are incurred by placing one order. You multiply by this, divided by the carrying cost per unit of raw material. Per unit price of the raw material you divide, you will get this EOQ level. See, graphically how it is explained. This is the order size. Now, if we increase this order size, you are getting it. If you are increasing this order size, you see the carrying cost is showing as it is coming as a decline. Okay. Now, this is the ordering cost. Ordering cost is just opposite of carrying cost. It is totally related to the order size. If you increase the order size, what will happen? Your carrying cost will decrease and your ordering cost will increase. But if you decrease the order size, your carrying cost will increase and your ordering cost will decrease. So this is the cost graph. This red one represents carry cost, blue one represents ordering cost. So this is a point which is a minimum total cost. This is a point which is known as a EOQ. This is the point which is represented as a EOQ. So we will take the example. ABC and company needs 1000 spares every year. So the cost of each item is rupees 78. Ordering cost is 100 per order. Carrying cost is 20 per unit of cost. Lead time is 5 days. ABC and company is open 360 a day. What is the EO quantity? EO quantity is 1000. Yes. Okay. So 2 into what the formula we have understood? The formula is 2AB divided by C. So 2 into annual usage. B is the ordering cost per order divided by 20 per unit of the price. 100 units is the EOQ. The square root of 2AB by C. 2 multiplied by A is the annual demand. B is your cost per order divided by price per unit of raw material. So if you multiply and the square root, it is 100 units. So this EOQ is calculated by this formula. So then how many times per year does the ABC company reorder? So 1000 divided by 100. 100 is the EOQ. Annual usage divided by EOQ will give 10 times the company is putting an order, because each order is of 100 units. Total requirement is 1000. So 10 times the company is putting an order. See, what is the length of order cycle? Length of order cycle is EOQ. Each order is 100 units. Annual usage is 1000. You multiply by 360 days per year, 36 days each order is taking. Then the total inventory cost. What is the total cost if the EOQ quantity is ordered? If the EO quantity is ordered, ordering cost plus carrying cost. So ordering cost is number of orders into cost per order, that is 10 per order. EOQ is 100, that is 1000 rupees. Carrying cost is average order size, that is 1000. Then 100 divided by 2 into 20, 1000. Total amount is coming to 2000. Just make a note. while calculating a carrying cost, we have to take the average order size, that is 100 divided by 2. Always while carrying cost, we have to take at an average figure. So 50 into 20 per unit price, this 1000. So hence total amount is coming to 2000. This is another tools, ABC analysis. What ABC analysis talks about? This is another classification of the tools which the company is using. It is the inventory management technique that divides inventory into 3 categories based on the value and volume of inventory. 10% of inventory item contributes to 70% of value of consumption, and this category is known as A category. Sometimes company tries to monitor the inventory based on the quantity and value of consumption. So they divide the inventory into ABC analysis, that is called always better control. ABC, always better control. So they classify it into ABC analysis. So 10% of the inventory, suppose if the company is having 100 items, 10% constitutes 70% of the value. They will focus on A category. B is 20% of inventory item contributes about 20% of consumption, and this category is called category B. 70% of inventory item contributes only 10% of value of consumption and constitutes as C. So companies adopt a strategy where to focus, either A, B or C. So if you control A part of the inventory, what happens? Your 70% of the value of inventory is getting controlled. See, category A, volume 10%, value 70%. The company will focus on this particular for controlling and managing the inventory. B and C, they will not put much emphasis because your 10% of the total inventory is having 70% value. So the company will try to focus on A category. Then B, 20% having 20% value, 70% of volume. This is particularly very small item which companies generally don't put much effort in managing inventory. The company try to focus only on A and B, not on C category. Then there is another inventory analysis called weight analysis. This technique is ideally suited for spare parts in inventory management like ABC analysis. Inventory are classified into 3 categories on the basis of usage of inventory. Vital item of inventory, essential item of inventory, and desirable item of inventory. Sometimes instead of ABC analysis, the company try to focus on individual spares or individual consumers or individual inventories. So they classify vital item, essential item and desirable item. So they classify for monitoring and control of under each category. Then they call another is the HML analysis. Under this analysis, inventories are classified into 3 categories, mainly based on the value of inventories, high value of inventories, medium value of inventories and low value of inventory. So this is another type of inventory analysis which the company tries to keep at while managing the inventory. So like similarly to weight analysis, this HML analysis also has the same definition. There is no major difference between these 2 analyses. So one of the most important aspects is the aging analysis of inventory. Now, in a particular manufacturing companies, there are thousands of inventories. For example, spare parts. In a company of manufacturing organization, there are thousands of spares are available in the inventory. So it becomes very difficult to know how these movement of inventories are taking place. Are they fast moving? Are they slow moving inventories? Or are they obsolete? That means not used for the machineries which are used for manufacturing the production, or they are dead inventories. So what the company does a aging analysis of inventories on hand. Every year or every once in 6 months, what this company do, they take out a report from the inventory management system. How many items are fast moving items? Last 6 months, how much item has moved frequently? So they know they are much in demand. So they are fast moving items. Then they are normal moving inventories. How many items moved only once in 6 months or twice in 6 months or thrice in 6 months? They are normal category of inventory. Then there are slow moving inventory. How many items are there which are moving slow? That means they are not issued, they are not used in the production. They are not used in the machinery. So they must be using maybe once in a 6 months they are using. So they are categorized those items as slow moving items. Then there are dead moving inventories, the non-moving inventory. They are not moved for last 1 year, 2 years. So the company does an action plan. They make the action plan for disposal of these dead inventories as a scrap, because the more you keep the inventory dead stock, it is of no use. So they try to dispose of this dead inventory. So the whole purpose of this analysis is to see where we stand as far as the material movement or inventory movement is concerned. If 1,000 spares are there, there could be 200 items lying as non-moving. Out of this, 400 could be fast moving, 200 could be slow moving, 100 could be normal moving. So it gives an idea for the organization what level they should keep, whether for each category. Fast moving, they may keep it maximum level. For normal moving, they may keep it maybe minimum level. For slow moving, they may keep it minimum level. There are no level for dead moving inventories. They are sold for as a scrap. So this analysis is mainly calculated for the purpose of taking disposal decision of the inventories. They decide how much dead inventories or how much inventory from this we can sold. If there are no use to the organization, this material can be sold. So this method helps to identify the movement of inventories. Hence, it is also called FNSD analysis. F fast moving and normal moving, S slow moving, and D dead moving. So it helps us to take the disposal action of the inventory. So there is another two techniques which the company uses: inventory budget and inventory reports. What are inventory budgets? At the start of the year, suppose now 2016 is coming, the company wants to know the sales plan of the year, how much quantity they are going to sold in the market. So they prepare a sales budget. Based on the sales budget, they prepare the production budget. How much production has to be done to meet the sales target. Based on the production budget, we prepare an inventory budget. How much raw material we are going to need to produce the item which are ultimately going to sell in the market. So these inventory budgets monitor how much quantity we are going to procure from the vendors to meet the ultimate sales target. It is a kind of functional budget which facilitates the estimated inventory required for the business concern during a particular budget. This budget is prepared based on the past experience. Inventory reports. Preparation of periodical inventory reports provides information regarding the order level, quantity to be procured, and other information related to inventory. Nowadays, lots of companies are having a ERP which is called Inventory Management System. What does this Inventory Management System do? It throws out reports on a periodical basis. What level of inventory are we having? Are they slow moving or non-moving, or they are fast moving items? Whether we need to keep this at a maximum level, how much inventory are into stock out position, how much inventory is at a danger level, how much inventory at a maximum level, how much inventory is there at a minimum level. So all these reports are available in one shot, and it is given by inventory management system. So these reports help the management take necessary decisions regarding inventory control and management in the business concern. So it helps us to manage the inventory control. These ready-made reports are available. So by just having a one glance of the report, we come to know where we stand as far as the inventory level is concerned. Whether we are holding inventory at an optimum level, or we are at a very maximum level or the maximum level, which item we need to put from maximum to minimum, which item we need to put from minimum to reorder level, which item to put from minimum to reorder level or maximum level. So all these permutation combinations, it helps the inventory manager from the reports to decide where to keep, at what level the inventory position we should keep in the organization. So what are the benefits of holding the inventory? Why we want to hold the inventory? Avoiding lost sales. One of the most important advantage, if we want to hold the inventory, is at any point of time you may not lose the sale, because you are having sufficient quantity of raw material in hand as an inventory which will be used any time in the production. When the demand will rise, your inventory is sufficiently available to meet the production plan. and which will ultimately meet the demand in the market. So you are not going to lose the sale. That's why one of the most benefits of holding inventory is avoiding lost sales. Availing quantity discount for a bulk purchase. When you are procuring the raw material at a very huge quantity, at a large quantity, you are achieving some discount. So one of the advantages of holding inventory is you procure the raw material in bulk quantity and you negotiate with the vendor the competitive price for this raw material. So you are availing the discount. Reduction in order cost. Since you are not ordering frequently, you have procured the material in bulk and storing in the godown, you are reduction in the order cost. You are increasing the carrying cost. Make sure, just understand, holding inventory means you are increasing your carrying cost. But here, they result in the order cost. You are not ordering frequently because you are holding the inventory in large quantity. Achievements of smooth production run. Your production process will not suffer because of loss of inventory, because you are keeping a sufficient inventory in hand. Reducing risk of production shortage. At any point of time, you will not incur any production shortages. So these are the most key critical benefits of holding the inventory. Now let us understand the cost of holding the inventory. What are the risks associated with holding the inventory? Risk of obsolescence. Particularly in the manufacturing company, what the company does, they procure the bulk spare parts in a huge quantity from the vendor at a very good price. But what happens, the spare parts which are used in the machinery, those machinery itself has become outdated. So what will happen? Are those spares will be used on those machinery? No, because the machinery itself is outdated. The company is thinking of replacing the machinery with some new technology. So the machinery is of no use. So what is the cost of holding the inventory? You have already procured the raw inventory of spares, such a huge quantity that they will not going to use in the machinery, which has become outdated. Risk of item not selling. Sometimes the demand may not pick up. The product which you are going to sell in the market is not demanded by the customer, but you have already procured huge amount of raw material inventory into godown for production. But if the customer demand is also not there, it will hamper your production because you are not going to produce the goods which are not demanded. Ultimately, your inventory has piled up and the risk of item not selling, your holding cost is increasing. It has increased like anything because of demands are not there in the market. Higher storage cost. This is one of the important problems. You have procured the raw material in a huge quantity. As a result, you have taken on rent number of godowns. So as a result, your inventory has piled up. Your holding cost has increased and increasing your storage cost because earlier you are hiring one godown, but because you want to store the material in another godown, you have hired another godown. So because of hiring of another godown, you have to pay the rent. So there is resulting in higher storage cost. Risk of natural calamities. This is one of the most important risks of cost of holding the inventory. What will happen? The risk of natural calamities. What happens generally? If some earthquakes or heavy rains comes, what will happen? It will damage all the raw material inside the godown. Everything will fall on the raw material. It is resulting in huge loss to your materials which are already stored. Higher insurance premium. Generally, you take the insurance of your value of the goods lying on the godown. Earlier, suppose you are having goods worth 10 lakh rupees. You are paying a premium of 10,000 rupees. But now you have purchased the material worth 20 lakh of rupees. So resulting in increase in value of inventory. As a result, increasing in value of the premium. So the premium which you are paying for the insurance you have taken on goods increases high. So this is the cost of holding the inventory. So just to summarize in a nutshell, there is a famous quote given by an American writer by the name Jonathan Raymond. It was a Dell. Dell is a computer manufacturing company. It was Dell who came out with their build on demand process, where they are able to keep a zero balance inventory. That means they don't purchase parts until an order is received. That is a way to greatly reduce overhead. Since you don't need to warehouse parts or overstock parts you may not end up using. So the whole summary is that you are managing your inventory in such an extent. This particular company, Dell, computer manufacturing company, they need various spare parts. So they are stocking the inventory at such a level, whenever the products are demanded, they are able to keep a zero balance inventory. That means they don't purchase parts until an order is received. So that technology is called just-in-time approach. In Japan, in Toyota, car manufacturing company, they follow a just-in-time tools. What is a just-in-time? Whatever the order they have received, based on that order only they will going to procure the raw material for the manufacturing process. They are not going to store huge amount of inventory because of that. So they are going to manufacture the goods which are only demanded in the market, and they are going to procure the raw material accordingly. So just to summarize, we have understood what is the definition of inventory. We have understood what to inventory. We have understood what are the different classes of inventory: raw material, work in progress, finished goods, consumable, spares. Then we have understood what is the basic purpose of inventory analysis. The whole purpose of is what item should be ordered and when to order and at what quantity, so that we should not miss on the consumer demand. Then we have understood what is the objective of inventory analysis. We have learned 30 to 80% of the total expenses constituted inventory. Hence, the inventory management is one of the key areas of the business, and efficient management of inventory is an essential part of any kind of manufacturing process concern. Then we have understood the objectives of inventory management. So, to efficient and smooth production process, it should not hamper the production. You should not lose on sale because of shortage of inventory. To meet the seasonal demand of the product, to ensure level and size of inventory required, to plan when to purchase and where to purchase, to avoid both overstocking and understocking. So the whole object of inventory management is to avoid understocking and to avoid overstocking. What happens when the inadequate control over inventories? Either there will be understocking or will be overstocking. Overstocking leads to what? It leads to tie-up of working capital. The whole amount is blocked if you are going to overstock. If you are going to understock, you may lose the customer sale. Inventory cost, there are three types of inventory cost which we have understood: holding cost, ordering cost and shortage cost. Then techniques of inventory management. These techniques actually, what are these techniques talks about? It talks about the effective control and administration of inventory. How best way you are going to manage the inventory, it talks about the inventory management. There are three broad techniques of inventory management. Based on order quantity, stock level determination, where we have learned 5 types of levels: minimum level, maximum level, reorder level, then average stock level and danger level. So these are the 5 stock levels which we have understood. Then the determination of stock levels, we have understood the lead time and the safety stock. Economic order quantity. Economic order quantity is a tool which helps to minimize the total inventory cost by equating ordering cost and carrying cost. It is a point where equates both ordering and carrying cost. This is one of the most important tools of inventory management for controlling the inventory. Then techniques based on classification.